So this morning, I want to talk about how Liferay is evolving as a technology and partially as a company. And part of it is through the various conversations I've had over the last couple of days, I realized that some of the things that we have signaled as a company have maybe been misunderstood or miscommunicated. And I want to make sure that we all understand what Liferay is about and what we're trying to build in our technology. So, about 2 years ago, Liferay made this change, and we said we're no longer Liferay Portal, we're DXP. And when we made that change, we really wanted to find a way to communicate to the market that we don't just do portals or intranets, but we actually do much, much, much more. Now, as part of many, many business side concerns, from legal to marketing to sales, we may have said things like, well, tell people that, no, it's we're not a portal anymore. We don't do portals. We're only DXP now. And maybe that caused some confusion in the market. And above that, I think there was a sense of, when we started to explain what Liferay does in a different way, that, we solve all of these different kinds of business problems and we go much further than just these point solutions. We set up these very, very grand expectations. And I've been working with the marketing team for the last 4 years, and we've been talking about customer engagement, and that evolved over time to digital transformation. And it's a very big buzzword, actually. And most of you guys are technical, so maybe you came to Liferay Symposium and you saw digital transformation, and you're like, I don't know what that is. My business people talk about this all the time. I think it's BS. But I still like Liferay, so I'm going to come to the symposium. And I thought about a way to think about what's been the expectations about DXPs and digital transformation and all these concepts. And one day, my marketing designer made this funny version of our homepage, and it said, make real transformation happen. And he actually had a real transformer on the screen. And I think this was his way of kind of making fun of the marketing people. But it's also kind of a good way to illustrate sometimes how we talk about all these technologies and how great they're going to be. It's going to be a crazy experience, and we're going to be heroes, and we're going to save the day. When in reality, what we're actually doing can be something much more simple. I went to a chiropractor recently because I had a car accident earlier this year. And I went to their website, and this was their digital transformation. Instead of me having to sit in the office, I could go to their website and fill out their form online. And at the end, I can actually do an electronic signature and submit it, right? And so I realized that the hard thing about what we've been talking about has been that actually, transformation is a process. It's a journey. And the way that I've been talking about it this year is evolution. Transformation is an evolution, and that's okay. Now, I want to ask you, how many of you are using Liferay just for a portal? Like a customer portal, student portal, something like that. Okay. How many of you are using Liferay as an intranet? Okay. How many of you are using it for a website? Okay. And then how many of you are using it for 2 or 3 different things? Okay, great. So my marketing team in the US did a survey, and they asked 150 of our top customers how they use Liferay. And we actually found that in a lot of times, they're using it for a lot of different things as well. So here, over 50% actually are using it for more than 2 different things. And what are the kinds of things that they're using it for? Well, despite all our talk about DXPs and transformation, when it comes down to it, they're really using it for intranets, extranets, portals, websites, and integration. Now, the important thing is that when we look especially at websites and integration platform, those are often the things that qualify as we're using it for more than one thing. So They're using it as an intranet, but they built it on an integration platform, and that allows them to have a lot of flexibility in terms of what systems they connect and how they use it in the future. So I'm trying to connect together everything that Liferay has been for the last 15 years with where we're going in the future. And in fact, it's the journey that we were already at. That before we used to talk about Liferay being a flexible platform that you can build anything on. Now we want to reframe that and say, everyone wants to transform their business, but you have to take it step by step. And one of those first steps you can take is to build a great customer experience through your customer service portal, or to empower your digital workforce with a great modern intranet. I want to quickly give you two examples of what this looks like. One is an energy company in the US called Spire. They are the result of 4 different gas companies that merged into one company. And now they have 1.7 million customers in the Midwestern United States. So what did they do? Well, if you can imagine that you were a customer of one of those companies called Alabama Gas Company, and you suddenly go to the website and it forwards you to spire.com. All the branding is different. Everything is new. That can be very, very confusing. As a customer, you could say, I don't know where my gas company went. And so Spire did a lot of advertising to make sure everyone knew what was going on. They did a lot of mailing as well. And then for them, it was really important that the customer experience on the website was very simple and intuitive. So they built this on Liferay, and they were able to connect in a lot of the legacy systems that came from the acquisitions. One of the companies was using Oracle, another one was using SAP, the other one was using Salesforce. And because Liferay is the transformation platform, it was very easy for them to connect those things. But because of our portal heritage, it was very easy also to build the front-end experience that works both on the web and the mobile. Now, where are they going to take this in the future? Well, right now, what you can do is just pay bills, start and stop service, look at your usage. But in the future, one of the reasons they rebranded Aspire as an energy company is because they realized that natural gas is an old technology, and maybe they're not going to use that in the future. In the future, they might change to solar or wind or other ways, other alternative fuels. And as they evolve their business into that future, they want to have the flexibility to move with the business. And that's one of the reasons why they chose Liferay for this. Another quick example is Coach, which is a New York luxury brand. They make handbags and shoes. Maybe your wives or girlfriends have asked for these kinds of things. Or maybe you yourself as a man appreciate fine things in life and you actually purchase them yourself. And here I have some photos of their window displays. If you go down Via Condotti here in Rome, there's all kinds of wonderful window displays from all the different retailers. And Coach was updating these windows every month or every 2 months, and they had to do it across 1,000 different retail locations throughout the world. And the way they were doing it was to send packages with instructions and photos to all 1,000 stores. Just sending the instructions cost $500,000 a year. And thanks to their new intranet, they were actually able to take the step of getting rid of that paper and making it digital. Now, obviously, they're saving the $500,000 from doing that, but more importantly, what was essentially a top-down process became very collaborative. People in the field stores could say, hey, we don't think this display works in our culture, or our store is too small to do all of that, and so we need to change and update these things. And when we were talking to their director of IT, they were saying, well, we started with this intranet and digital process, but in the future, what we really want to do is build more applications to empower our employees and to decentralize our content and document management. They have so many plans for the future. Again, they took this first step of building the intranet, but they have a forward journey now because of the platform. Now, so that's the business side of the talk. I want to get into the technology. There have been a lot of different exciting things that our engineering team and product teams have been working on for the last 6 to 12 months that we're hoping to release to you by the middle of next year. And I haven't been sharing this with all of the Symposium audiences, but I do want to share it with you. So first of all, you know that over the last release of Liferay, in Liferay 7 DXP, we invested a lot in OSGI and modularizing the platform. I wanted to find an easy way for technical people to understand the benefit of modularity to business people. And this is what I came up with, which is basically, it means that you can move faster, reuse services so you're saving money, but also when your business needs change, your apps can evolve much, much more quickly. OSGI is one of the biggest reasons to start using Liferay 7, but it's also one of the biggest challenges when you upgrade from Liferay 6.2 to DXP. And if you're a customer in the room today, if you're starting out, I was talking with a customer who started out with DXP, I think the first European customer on DXP, and they're facing some challenges. First of all, I'm sorry for that. In fact, for that customer, I've already asked my support team to look at their ticket to make sure we get a solution as quickly as possible. But more importantly, I want to share with you that other customers who have gone to DXP, yes, they went through that upgrade and it was challenging at times, but what they found on the other side was once they started developing with OSGI, once they started experiencing modularity, they were much more productive and they found that things were much simpler to do than before. And so that's the value proposition on the other side that we hope that you will experience as well. Okay, so imagine that before Liferay was this big application, everything had to be done in Liferay, back end to business to front end was all Liferay. And now we've been talking about omni-channel, we've been talking about how experiences are not just through digital devices, but it happens in the stores. You've heard a lot here at this event about IoT, and that's a big part of the future as well. What do you need to do in the platform to support that? APIs. APIs are not a very exciting or sexy thing, but they're so vitally important. And if I had to summarize how Liferay thought about APIs before, it's that we designed them to be consumed by Liferay. And by doing it that way, it made it really hard in a lot of ways to use Liferay with a front end that came from something else, like Angular or Node.js or a mobile device or even a internet-connected drone to send data. And so one of the development priorities for the next version of Liferay is to make our APIs evolvable and used in a headless way. This means that we no longer assume that the API is going to be consumed by Liferay. We don't know who's going to consume the API, but we want to make sure that it works for everyone involved. So let me talk a little bit about evolvability. This is a simple illustration of how APIs work. There's a provider and a consumer, and they speak a certain language so that they can get information in and out. Well, as that API changes, as you add more features or as you have to modify different aspects of that API, then you get incompatibility, right? So it's very important that that API is designed to evolve. So what you're going to see, we have a project whose code name has been Vulkan, but our lawyers told us that we cannot name it Vulkan because then the people who own this will come after us. So we're looking for a new name. If you can think of a great name for evolvable APIs, that'd be awesome. But we see just how important this is for the future of not only Liferay, but all of us as technologists, and we want to help solve this problem. Okay, number 3. Modernizing the front end. So if APIs are sort of what the back-end platform has to do, then you also have to think about what's going on in the front end. And if you look at how quickly these front-end APIs evolve, it's really frightening. You know, I heard a joke recently that by the time, if you're a front-end developer, by the time you get on a plane and fly to go to a front-end conference, and by the time you land, the popular front-end technology has already changed, right? And I actually experienced that because our front-end developers come to me and they say, "Oh, we have to use Angular," and it's like, "No, Angular sucks now. It's this other thing, and it's really hard to keep up, right?" And yet, I think this is really a sign that so much innovation and so much improvement can be happening at this user experience level. And you know, it's really been about how all of us have experienced technology being much more intuitive through mobile devices, through consumer technology, and we want to replicate that in our organizations. Okay, so when you look at Liferay, you know, so one thing that I'll talk about a little later is that Liferay is no longer a one product company, right? We have many, many, many different products and open source projects, and our ambitions have expanded quite a bit in that regard. But when you look at all of our open source projects, you actually find that almost 2/3 of them are related to the front end, right? So this isn't something that's new, but it's something that we've been working on for a long time, and it's something we're continuing to invest in. You'll hear about a lot of those developments throughout the conference as well. When it comes specifically to mobile, our team has also been working very hard to make sure that Liferay works really well with both hybrid and native mobile application environments. In North America, we actually had a great session about that. I'm not sure if it's on the session list here today, but it's something you can look forward to from Liferay. And of course, bringing it all together, we've invested a lot in Lexicon. In fact, there's a whole team of UI and front-end people throughout the world, but also in Madrid, that are solving this problem of how do you unify the experience from your tablet to your phone to your website to everything else. Okay, finally, I want to round it out by talking about WeDeploy. WeDeploy is an awesome project that we've been working on for about 2 to 3 years. And their tagline is your application in the cloud within seconds. Now, I want to point out that WeDeploy is not officially open source, right? But when we think about our aims as an open source company, what have we always wanted to do? We wanted to empower developers to be more productive, to build better solutions, to make their customers happier. And one of the things that always ties you down as a developer is worrying about infrastructure, worrying about elasticness, worrying about scalability and performance. And the goal of WeDeploy is to take care of all of those things for you so that you don't have to worry about it yourself. In addition to that, I want to say that WeDeploy is not only about Liferay Portal or Liferay DXP. This is actually for any developer to use for any project. How did this come about? Well, a lot of our engineers, Eduardo, Zeno, and others, when they were trying to develop with Liferay, they found that there were all these barriers to making them productive. And then they went out to the market, they looked at Amazon, they looked at Heroku, they looked at Firebase, and while each of those had certain advantages, there wasn't a single offering that kind of brought it all together and made it really simple. So WeDeploy is something awesome. It's something that we are bringing to the market over the next 6 months. Please check it out. You can create a free account, see what you can do there, and give us feedback. So WeDeploy is great, but a lot of us are still obviously using Liferay in production environments, and on our side, what we don't want to deal with anymore is how do I configure my database or my operating system? How do I configure my Tomcat or my application server? These are all things that used to have a lot of value for us, but now not so much, right? We don't really care that much whether we put Liferay on Tomcat or WebSphere or something else. So our team is also investing in making sure that Liferay is containerized, working on Docker. We're going to create images that you can use and really standardize some of the best practices so that as a community, we can all kind of go one level up from dealing with all of that infrastructure stuff to really just focusing on building value. Okay, so let me just bring this all together in a great diagram that our colleagues in Spain put together. You've got your modular backend services that do a lot of the cool stuff Liferay has always done: content management, document management, users, permissions, groups, sites, all that stuff. You expose it through these evolvable front-end agnostic APIs that can be consumed by any device. You make it all work really well with all the different front-end technologies that are out there. And then you make it easy for all of that stuff to get on the cloud. And that way, all of us can just write great apps, write great services, and not worry about all the complicated stuff. So, what do you tell your business users? Well, if you use Liferay as your platform, then you're going to have much more usable, friendlier interfaces. You're going to get to production much more quickly. We're going to be able to assemble apps from all the different services that we built for the organization. Everything's going to be awesome. Now, that's all a lot of platform stuff. What about features, right? It's been a long time since we were able to build some really cool features that everyone can show to the business and say, wow, this is what you're going to get in the next version of Liferay. So what are we working on? Well, one of the most exciting things is our CMS is a little bit old right now. It's been a while since we had a major update to our content management system. And to be frank, the way that we built it, where it's all portlet oriented and you get pieces of content onto the page, it's really useful in some scenarios, like dashboards, but for modern sites, it's really hard to use. And so I've been working actually very closely with Jorge and our own web and marketing teams to define the requirements for a modern web experience manager. And this includes things like being able to create reusable web fragments from JavaScript, CSS, and HTML that can be guided by the designer, implemented by the web developer, and then the content can be updated by the business person. So we're really putting a lot of thought into reinventing that, and I think it's going to be really awesome. But of course, web experiences are not just about building them. You need to measure them, you need to manage them, and you need to evolve them. And so we're also building into this the testing and analytics, as well as some of the marketing requirements like CTAs and forms and things that will make this all come together. Forms. So Forms has actually been a really popular part of our product. It was one of the big updates in Liferay 7, and people are using it for forms, of course, but also for business processes. We have customers who are using Forms as a front end for collecting customer service requests or taking applications like insurance quote applications and things like that, connecting it to workflow, and then having it get tracked through issues. And so a lot of what you're going to see around Forms is not only doing the creation, but adding the metrics and adding the management, the case management features on top of Forms. One of the big things coming to Liferay is commerce. And we have our very own Marco Leo here, who will be presenting right after me to talk about what we're doing there, so I won't go too much into that. But we are also working still on the single custom review and campaign management features that we started talking about a couple of years ago. It's been much more challenging than we thought, and it's taking longer than we thought. But it is very much in progress. And I really think that this is what's going to bring everything together. Because when you submit that form on a modern website, or you want to purchase something, all of that then has to be captured on the back end, because you really want to understand what those things tell you about their user. And then once you understand your users and your segments, you want to be able to send them email campaigns, but also to target web content to their mobile and web experiences. I had a couple conversations this week about Adobe and how they can be competitive in the Italian market, also in the German market. And one of our targets for the future is to be able to compete against Adobe Experience Manager, because really when it comes to all the back-end and integration and development, we supremely think Liferay is much, much better. And so we just want to be much more competitive on the front end. Okay, I'm going to skip this slide because I am out of time. I wanted to take the last minute just to talk about community. And I want to be really honest with you guys. I haven't talked to that many of you online over the last 2 years during the whole clustering experiment. But I know that this group, this community in Italy has been one of the most passionate about some of the decisions we made around clustering in the last 2 years. In my blog, I told you the reasons why we wanted to take it out, and I said, please talk to me, please tell me what you think. And some of you guys did, and I think many people were very, very disappointed, frustrated, angry. You kind of said, "Oh, we knew Liferay was that kind of company. We knew you were going to sell out. You only care about money. You're only saying open source for marketing purposes, all this stuff. And now I'm going to go use this other platform." And maybe there would be 10, 20, or 30 more people in the room today if we hadn't made that decision, right? But some of you are here. Some of you have told me since we brought clustering back that you're very happy with that decision. A lot of you told me online, but then a lot of you guys were actually silent. And I was afraid. I thought, I guess everyone really gave up on us because nobody said anything when I wrote the blog saying that we brought clustering back. And maybe the truth is somewhere in between. You have some mixed feelings. You're like, well, you guys brought clustering back, but who knows what you're going to do next, right? And then one person I talked to yesterday was really, really happy, really excited about Liferay 7 GA5, which has all the clustering included. And he's working for a university for one of their projects. And it was really important for them to have that. So as one of the people who was responsible for that decision, I do want to apologize one last time. We really thought that this was one way to solve our problems, but I don't think it was the right way. And so I want to apologize for that. But I also want to say thank you for still being here, for at least giving us more chances. Of course, every company changes, every company grows. But I can personally say in front of you that in terms of my heart, my values, and those of the founders, they are the same. We're still doing this for all the same reasons we did it 10, 15 years ago. I'm so happy that I can come here every year, meet you guys, talk to you guys, talk about tech, talk about your projects, understand what your needs are, and that everything we do, even if it's not making money for us, is helping someone, like a university or a nonprofit or even a business. We're not going to be able to sell something to everyone, and I'm actually okay with that. As long as we did technology that was useful and fun for you guys. So yeah, come find me during the breaks. I'd love to talk to you about that, but I just want to close by saying thank you so much. I'm really happy you're here. I'm really happy that you still believe in Liferay. You're still excited about what we're doing, and that we can be part of this community together. Thanks.